You're now listening to the Engage the Rockies podcast, your go-to podcast for local and state issues concerning Colorado.
Hello, Colorado. This is your Engage the Rockies week in review for the week of September 23rd to the 27th. If you'd like the show notes with the links to the stories we're covering today, please visit engagetherockies.com and sign up to our email. Every Monday, we'll send you the list of articles we covered on our Friday episode. From around the state, communications between the city of Aurora and the council of a troubled apartment complex show that officials understood the owners of Aspen Grove at 1568 Nome Street wanted the local government to board up the building in order to take back, quote, control of the property from a Venezuelan gang. The information was revealed after the city released, following the threat of a lawsuit from the Denver Gazette, a cache of unredacted emails to and from the attorneys representing CBZ Management that were requested under the Colorado Open Records Act, or CORA. Officials earlier released the records to the Denver Gazette, but they were heavily redacted. Practically speaking, the only unredacted information were people's contact info contained in the email chain. Quote, to be clear, my impression from what has been occurring generally is that your client has been asking for the city to take this action in order for your client to take control of the property and to sell the property. Peter Schulte, Aurora's assistant city attorney, wrote CBZ Management's attorney on October 6th. A week later, officials evicted about 300 residents, citing health and safety concerns. Quote, the property owners didn't know what else to do, Aurora Council member Danielle Jurenski said. Jurenski, who began sounding the alarm in the community about the Venezuelan gang, helped the city negotiate a deal to condemn the building, which would effectively evict the gang members. The city knew that the property had no staff on it, Jurenski said. Jurenski added, they knew damn well the property had been taken over by gangs. In the email exchanges from October 5th through October 12th, the attorneys negotiated an agreement for Aurora officials to drop all charges against the owner of the Aspen Grove apartment complex in exchange for selling the property, leasing it, or coming up with a similar disposition, and assuming up to $60,000 of the costs to board up and secure the building. Jeff Roberts, executive director of the Colorado Freedom of Information Coalition, said that records requesters typically have to accept such denials, quote, because they don't have the legal resources to fight them. It's good to see Aurora acknowledges its mistake, but the unredacted records should have been provided to the Denver Gazette when the newspaper first requested them, Roberts said in an email. Moving on. Douglas County on Tuesday approved a camping ban with a fine of up to $1,000 for each violation, as it seeks to supplement what officials described as a successful strategy to curb homelessness. The ban effectively mirrors the law that currently exists in neighboring Denver, where the homeless population has soared in the last several years. Douglas County's elected officials approved the ordinance, which prohibits anyone from camping on public property, following the U.S. Supreme Court's decision in June to clear the way for cities to enforce camping bans. Commissioners said the ban, under which violations invite a fine not to exceed $1,000, complements the county's initiatives on homelessness. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office is responsible for enforcing the camping ban, which specifically prohibits erecting tents. Douglas County already discourages residents from giving handouts to homeless people and encourages the public to instead donate those resources to its homeless response team. In local El Paso County news, 2 Colorado Springs middle school students were hospitalized and a man was arrested after an overdose on psilocybin mushrooms at the school Tuesday morning, police said. At about 9:15 a.m. Tuesday, a school resource officer at Fox Meadow Middle School in Harrison District 2 reported that 2 students had overdosed. Both were taken to Children's Hospital in Colorado Springs. Police said 2 students, along with 2 other teenagers, purchased the mushrooms from an adult drug dealer Monday night. The 4, ranging in age from 12 to 16, contacted the dealer through the app Telegram and bought the drugs in the King Soopers parking lot at 815 Cheyenne Meadows Road. Detectives worked with the youth's parents to recover the remaining mushrooms as evidence and to contact the dealer with one of their phones. Posing as one of the teens, detectives arranged another meeting with the dealer and subsequently arrested Damian Solano, who was carrying 2 ounces of mushrooms at the time, police said. Solano, 21, faces several charges, including 4 counts of unlawful distribution of a controlled substance, 1 count of an attempted sale, and 4 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Solano's first court arraignment was scheduled for Wednesday afternoon. Moving on. A final vote from the Colorado Springs City Council on Tuesday strongly limits where marijuana shops that want to sell recreational marijuana can operate. A move a resident-backed marijuana campaign described as a backdoor ban on retail cannabis sales locally. The council voted 7-2 a second time to preemptively prohibit facilities that sell recreational marijuana from operating within 1 mile of K-12 schools and residential childcare and drug or alcohol treatment facilities. Councilwomen Yolanda Avila and Nancy Hingham remained opposed. Recreational marijuana sales are not permitted currently in Colorado Springs, but medical marijuana sales are. After the Citizens for Responsible Marijuana Regulation resident group successfully petitioned the question onto the November 5th ballot, voters will get to decide if the roughly 90 existing medical marijuana shops in the city can opt into also selling recreational marijuana. Voters, too, will decide an opposing council-backed question that proposes changing the city charter to prohibit retail marijuana stores and product manufacturing, testing, and cultivation facilities from operating in city boundaries. Currently, Colorado Springs limits medical marijuana shops from operating within 1,000 feet of schools and child care facilities. Moving on, the Colorado Springs City Council voted 7-2 with Councilwomen Yolanda Avila and Nancy Hingham opposed to pass a second symbolic resolution stating Colorado Springs, quote, is not and will not become a sanctuary city. The resolution, approved 7 months after Council passed an initial controversial non-sanctuary city resolution in February, calls on the federal government to better address immigration. Among other promises, it pledges not to, quote, encourage migrants without legal status, end quote, to come to Colorado Springs, but to, quote, handle all contingencies with compassion and respect, end quote. As proposed by Councilman Dave Donaldson and further amended by the council, it too calls on Governor Jared Polis and the state legislature to, quote, repeal legislation that has negatively impacted our state and law enforcement, end quote. The resolution refers to 2 state bills passed in 2019 and 2023 that prohibit local law enforcement, including the El Paso County Sheriff, from arresting or detaining individuals based on a civil immigration detainer. The laws also prohibit probation officers from providing migrants identifying information to federal authorities and ended the ability for local law enforcement to enter into agreements with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to detain individuals in their jails. And lastly, a federal judge in the nation's capital sentenced a Colorado Springs man on Wednesday to 7 months in prison after he was found guilty of multiple criminal charges for his role in storming the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Tyler Earl Etheridge, 35, was found guilty on 6 charges on September 8, 2023 in U.S. District Court in Washington for his role in storming the Capitol and refusing to leave when engaged by law enforcement. U.S. District Judge Rudolph Contreras sentenced Etheridge on a felony offense of civil disorder and misdemeanor offenses of entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly and disruptive conduct in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly conduct in a capitol, and parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a capitol. Etheridge was also given 24 months of supervised release following his prison sentence and ordered to pay $2,000 in restitution. Those are your top stories for the week of September 23rd through the 27th. Please tune in each Friday for your weekend review from Engage the Rockies. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe for more great content. If you'd like the full articles from the stories we read today, sign up to our email list at engagetherockies.com and we'll send you our show notes each week. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Engage the Rockies podcast, your go-to podcast for local and state issues concerning Colorado.